Oh gosh, what did we talk about last week? It's an M.
Yep,
Help me, Jan.
I'll give you a
My
really
brain
quick,
just left me.
that's okay. I'll give you a really quick rundown of it. So you ready?
Okay. I'm going to turn it back over to Jan, and we're going to go ahead. Make sure you got your notebooks out because this is going to
Okay, and we're going to go fast and furious. And so Greg and I are going to talk about this, and we're going to give you a lot of experiences from our coaching background and our teaching background, because we believe that that those experiences that you have in life, you can relate to those. And so a lot of what we talk about when we're going through this, you will relate to the stories. So first of all, so the X impact, we looked at the word impact because we were looking at the book, the book that we're focusing on is
Chandler, come here.
the book that we're focusing on is looking at last week we looked at modeling, so showing the way, so inspiring others by modeling the way. And this week we're going to talk about mentoring the climb, not managing. So that's going to be our big focus today. And then we look at partnering with people to walk alongside you, not ahead of you. And then we'll get into aligning actions with vision, celebrating progress, and teaching others to multiply what they learn. And that's in the duplication, and that's when things really start to take off. So mentor the climb, walk with them. So last week we talked about modeling. We would go first, right? So you heard a lot, Melissa talk a lot about modeling the way. You go first, show them how to do it. So this week we're going to talk about walking with them. So think about when you have taken your kids or your grandkids to the playground, and maybe you're going to the slide and they're scared to go up the slide, and you're like, come on, honey, it'll be fine. Let's go up the slide. And they're like, it's so high. They don't want to go up there. And I'll go with you. And you climb up the ladder with them. They get to the top. They go down the slide. Once you do it with them, they're fine. They go down the slide. They can't believe that they couldn't do it on their own. And they do it on their own all the time from there on out. So you've walked with them, taken them past that part where they're scared, and they're fine. So that's what we're talking about with walking beside them. So there's model versus mentor. So we're going to talk about the progression. So what does that look like? We started with watching me, and now we're walking with me, and then we're going to teach you how to do it on your own. So I talked about multiplication is when movement really takes place. So we want to get you to the part where you're showing everybody else how to do the same thing, and so you get the benefit of all those people, or that duplication. That's when you really see things start to progress. So I'm going to just give you an example. My mom makes the best buns, and it's a family recipe. Her grandma passed it down to her mom, to my mom. And that's the family thing. Everybody wants my mom's buns when we have a family gathering. And I'm like, I want to learn how to do that. And so I had my mom teach me, and she would tell me her secrets, and I'd watch her do it. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I would do it, and it would flop every time. And so I'm like, Mom, I have to do it so you can watch what I'm doing. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. So as I'm doing it, she would tell me, she'd say, well, you got to feel the dough. You'll know when you have enough flour in there, because the flour is 6 to 8 cups. Well, that's big difference, right? So she's like, you'll be able to feel the dough. You'll know when it's right. And as I'm doing it, she's feeling the dough, and she goes, now feel that consistency. Now your dough is ready. So she walked alongside me to let me know what it should feel like. So then when I did it on my own after that, now I knew what it was supposed to feel like when I had enough flour in it. And I make buns, and that's what or what my family requests now. And now I've taught my grandson how to do the same thing. I showed him, I walked beside him, and now he's made them on his own. Oh my God. We're with it. Okay, here we go.
So let's talk about mentorship beating management. Okay. So they're not the same. I mean, management looks like, I don't know if all y'all have had bosses that like to remind, nag, if you feel like you're babysat, they just keep telling you what to do. And if you're in management mode, I mean, I know that the times during my time as a manager, man, some of my workers just got way too dependent on me, and it was draining. I mean, burnout type training, like it says there, dependence and burnout management. So a lot of us get into management mode by accident. It's not on purpose, and just stinks. But mentorship this is what we're all striving for. You know, we look like we're walking with people. We're showing people how we're celebrating you. You know, we're creating independence. It's like raising our children. You know, we hope that once they get to be of a certain age, some people say 18, some people say later, that, you know, we want to have them some independence, and then we want to see them do things that we believe are right, you know. So, and that's kind of the duplication. I mean, and in this business, we want to create independent partners who can duplicate what we talk about, because I don't want somebody to feel like I'm their boss, that they need to be guided in order to build their business. So as walking alongside them, showing people, celebrating their successes, we just show them that we're going to guide them, and with love. And sometimes, you know, people ask for honest opinions, and that's when we, as a mentor, learn how to give that with grace.
Okay, so why do people need a mentor? So normally you're looking at, if you walk into, have you ever been overwhelmed, right? You walk into a gym and you look at all the equipment and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. There's so many different pieces of equipment. I don't know where to start. I don't know what that piece of equipment is for. But then when the gym manager comes up and says to you, I'll walk you through and I'll show you what everything's for, all of a sudden it's not such a big deal now. So you need a mentor so that you don't feel overwhelmed, so that you don't feel alone, so that you don't feel stuck in the comparison game. And then when you have a mentor, people often feel that they get that clarity, they get that confidence, and they have that support. And so it's not about, you know what, I don't want to call you today. It's about, you know what, I just want to check in because I just want to talk to somebody, you know? And so, so have a mentor, have somebody that you can walk alongside with, that you can get some clarity, that you can get some confidence, that you can get some support from.
So do we see ourselves as a mentor? Do you see yourself as a mentor? Most of us, especially when we get started in this business, we don't even know that we can do anything, right? So that's where all the previous things come along with it. But do we see ourselves as a mentor when we get in a position where we've sponsored somebody, or are working with others to help them grow? Because I don't know about all y'all, but I don't know enough. I'm not good enough yet, and I don't have a title where all the things that went through our minds when we first got started, because somebody said, hey, you should do this with us because I think you'd be good at it. And these were the main three things that came out of our mouths, you know, as well as, well, you know, all the other excuses. But mentoring you don't have to have all the answers. We grow together, and we just need to be willing to walk alongside it. You know, it's like riding a bike. Your kid, you take those training wheels off because your kid says, I think I'm ready for it. And then as soon as you get them off the bike, they're like, no, put them back on. And so what do? You hold on to the handlebar in the seat. I remember doing this with my kids. Put it on the handlebar in the seat, and then you take them for a while, and then you let them go. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, you know, I don't have anybody with me. And they start to wobble and shake, and they fall down. And then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And pretty soon they're like looking behind you, or over their shoulder at you, and they're like, look, I'm doing it. And it's no different in this business. You know, we just got to be ready to let go. They have to be ready for us to let go. And sometimes we don't feel like most of the time we just don't feel like we're ready, but our mentors know when we're ready. You know, think about your own instances growing up in this business. And when somebody said, okay, here's a post, do it. Well, what do I do next? We'll work together on that. And away we are. And here we are today, you know, putting up your stories, learning the Instagram and the TikTok thingy and all that stuff, right? We didn't know how to do that, but here we go.
And here we go with peptides. We don't know everything about that, but we're learning along the way, and we're all walking this journey together. So the climb is messy. And so here, it's not smooth. People slip, people stall. They're going to stop halfway up, and some will quit, some will walk away, some will restart. So your role isn't to carry them. You know, in fact, the more you do for somebody, the more you hinder them. You know, think about your own, if you have kids or grandkids or whatever, the more that you do the things for them, the less likely they are to become independent. I'm going to tell you a story about one of my athletes. So I had this athlete that she came to me. She was a really good soccer player, and I was coaching women's track and field at Bemidji State and cross country. And she came to me and she said, I know we don't have soccer, but I want to stay in shape, and I really would like to join a college team, athletic team. And so I'd like to run with you if that's okay. And we had walk-ons all the time, so that was not a big deal. And I look at her, and if you looked at her, you would not have thought runner. That wouldn't have been the first thing that came to your mind. So I'm like, sure, come on out. And she was at every practice, worked hard, came in dead last at every single race that she ran. She ran distance for me. Every single race, she was dead last. But she was at every practice. She didn't quit. She didn't come up with excuses. And she would, every meet, her goal was to improve her time. But she was dead last every single race. Most people would quit. Most people would not go on to their sophomore year of college being dead last in every single race that they ran. Sophomore year of college comes along. She starts running. She is getting to maybe that, 2 or 3 people from the end of the track or end of the race, maybe sometimes in the middle of the race, depending on how many people were running. But the thing I noticed about her was I would come in for practices at 6 a.m. because we had some of our groups coming in at different times of the day. And so my group that would come in at 6, I'd come in and I'd notice her in the weight room. Every morning that I'd come in, she was in there, and it wasn't her group working out, but she was in there every single day. On weekends, we'd pop in there. We'd hop in, to go do our workouts, and she'd be in there working out. And didn't give her an assignment to work out. Didn't talk to her about that, but just noticed that she was in there all the time working out. But I also noticed that she was improving in her times. Junior year came around, she came back out. Junior year, she was finishing in the top in the races, and she became an all-conference runner for me her junior year. Her senior year, she came back out. Now she looks like a runner. She became all-conference, qualified for nationals, and became an All-American. So she went from not having any goals, but here's what she did do. She had goals. She was consistent. She showed up every single day, and she did what other people weren't willing to do. She didn't wait for weekends to catch everything up. She did something every single day. And she knew she wasn't going to be an All-American in a year. She knew she wasn't going to be an All-American in 2 years, but she had it on her goal sheet that she could be an All-American or an all-conference runner in 4 years. And that's what she did. But she put it down. She worked for it. She worked with, I had All-American runners. I had some really good All-American runners when she was a freshman and sophomore. And she did everything she could to watch them, see what they did, see what kind of workouts they were doing, and try to emulate them and let them mentor her. And that, I think, athletes are great. I love having athletes do this business with us because they're disciplined. They're not afraid to be consistent. They're not afraid to ask questions. They're not afraid to fail, right? And those are all characteristics that go really well with this business. So when you're looking for people, those are some things to look for.
So let's take a look at what it looks like daily. So what mentorship is: checking in with intention, not obsession. We don't obsess over what is or isn't done. Let's just be intentional about connecting and talking about the things that are going on. Celebrating all the wins. Being encouraging from the smallest to the biggest. We all want those great big explosion 4th of July fireworks wins. Everybody wants those. But we got to start with small ones. And it becomes a partnership where we both grow together, as we talked about before in a previous slide. As a mentor, we ask forward-moving questions. what's working, what feels hard, what's next. Listening, listen to the first and then ask questions. Because if we listen first, we can a lot of times find out the underlying problem or the underlying issues, because none of us like to just spew what's not working, what feels hard initially, right? It's kind of like peeling that onion back a little bit, because we're looking for a place as a mentor of empowerment, equipping you to make your own decisions. If you're a mentee, no matter what level we are in this business, we're either on one end of the spectrum or the other one, based on, Jen and I have had mentors and continue to have that same mentors that we started with 7 years ago. And we feel fortunate enough to where we have some people that we're mentoring. And that's how you're growing your team. You know what it's not? It's not hand-holding. It's not being what I call a secretary, answering questions 24/7. There's a little bit of therapy session in there, maybe, depending on the situation, but it's not a therapy session. And it's not a one-way street, because as a mentor, we can't help others if all we're doing is talking and not listening. We're not bosses. You're not a boss if you're a mentor. The one thing that always drove me nuts, whether I was in college coaching as an assistant coach or when I was in management at UPS, was my boss always saying, you pointing his finger, and it was that you need to go do this. The minute I heard you need to, well, this old farmer would dig his heels in the dirt and go, okay, I'm coming up with my own way, because I don't need to do nothing. Because last I checked, I was looking for a job when I found this one. Well, when I transformed that into this business, we're a volunteer army. And so our volunteer army can go away when we start directing them in you need tos, in my opinion.
So tools over talking. So some leaders try to be the tool instead of pointing to the tools. So I don't mean that derogatory. So use what you already have. We have boards, we have the X app, use your before and after pictures and, team events and things, but don't, the one thing that can be really easy is to say, oh, here, I'll just give it to you. And when you do that, it's when you have just a couple of people that you're sharing with, that could be easy. But if you have 20, 30, 50 people, and now you're trying to give that to all those people, that can be a problem, because there's no way that a person can handle all of that. So pointing them to the tools. And you probably all have heard Sheila Curtis tell the story about being really mad at Lacey when Lacey told her, directed her towards the tool. And she was like, well, you have it. You could just give it to me. It would take you 2 seconds to give it to me. And it would have taken Lacey 2 seconds. But she also realized that if she didn't teach Sheila to do that, then Sheila was going to run into the same issue. And when her team got big enough, she wasn't going to be able to handle getting it to all those people, and they needed to know where to go find it. And so, so use the tools, and we've got so many, and sometimes it can be, too much, like what tools do you really need to use, but really hone in on the ones that work for you, and then teach your downline to use those tools that work best for you and for them. Think about this too. Have you ever had somebody that tries to explain something to you? It takes them half an hour to explain it. And then they direct you to a tool or a guide or a, how to step by step. And literally you look at it and 5 seconds later, you figured it out. And you're like, if you would have just given me that, I could have figured it out. But I sat for half an hour and listened to you. Right. And so a lot of times it's easier if people will just look at the tool or use the tool.
So I don't know about y'all, but I didn't need a drill sergeant. I wanted a coach. I wanted somebody to guide me. We were looking for a coach, somebody that had done it, somebody that would lead with their heart and tell us real life stuff. Because I laugh at this, because I think about our first post, and I'm like, man, that was like,
Bad.
kindergarten, if you will. not college level, it was kindergarten level. And I think about the different reels and things that we do. I mean, the bloopers, if you think back about all the mistakes you've made and all the bloopers, you just got to laugh. And so that's where the humor comes in. I'm not looking for Lacey to be perfect. She's our main mentor. We just are looking for her to be present. And so we really feel like, you know, as a mentor, that's what we want to emulate is, yeah, we're not perfect. Well, I'm pretty close, but see the humor, but we just need to be present, be there to answer questions and help guide.
Here's one of I'll share this mistake with you. So when we first started and we were in conversations, of course, through great chats with not with Lacey at the time, but the person that sponsored us. And I was super excited about sharing with somebody. So I gave them all the information. And you can imagine how much that was. And instead of criticizing me, our sponsor poked a joke, which was the perfect thing to do, because she said in the chat, she said, basically said, way to vomit all over them, right? and I'm like, oh, I guess that was too much information, right? But it made me stop and think about, you know, that, yeah, I can't just spew all this information to them. I need to wait and get responses, right? But it taught me a great lesson, because then I never did that again, you know.
And it's lessons that we all learn. I mean, as coaches, I've been on the football field. I didn't take my freshmen right into the same drills that I was using with all of my upperclassmen, because they needed to learn the first steps first, make those first step mistakes.
All right, so this week, here's your call to action. So we talked about, and this is tying in with the book, and again, I'll share these slide decks with you, so you have this. You can also do a screenshot if you want, but I can share these slide decks with you. But here's your challenge. So you wrote your why. So why are you doing this business? So the next step to that is to add your what. What is it that you want from this business? So your story, you're going to write your story along with your why. What is the business doing for you personally? These are some questions that you can use in your story, because people are, why would people join you? Like, why, if I had a choice to join you or someone else, why would I join you? And why would I join you with Zingular, right? So you tell me your why, and then what is the business doing for you? What makes your partnership with Zingular unique? What sets your products apart? And if you just say, you know, our products are great, okay, there's lots of great products out there. What sets these products apart from other products? And then what do you see the perks of our pay plan, travel, and why is the Zingular model so powerful? And you should be able to get this in a 1 to 2 minute video, or I said video clip, voice clip that you're going to share with your mentor. And then you're going to share it with 5 other people. And those 5 people can be people you feel safe with to start with. It could be your teammates. It could be your family. It could be other like people that you're just saying, hey, can you listen to this and tell me what you think? You just want to share it with them. Or it could be somebody that's actually asked you a question, but you want to get it down so that you can have it come right off your tongue. You know, that your story is this, and this is what I see, and this is why I joined Zingular, and this is why I continue to share Zingular. And remember, our job is not to get them started with Zingular. Our job right away is to let them know what we have. It's to let them know that we have something that can help them and an opportunity for them. Once you do that, now that it's in their hands, when they say yes, then your job changes. Then your job becomes all about mentoring them and helping them have the best results, right?
Because everybody knows we're the coolest people that go to on the coolest trips with one of the coolest comp plans and the coolest company out there.
Right. And we all have a story. And here's the one thing I want to tell you, I want to share with you is think about your story. And some people might say, you know what? I had a really great first part of my story. I lost the weight, but then I gained it back. Who cares? Talk about where you originally started. And if you gained your weight back and you're losing it again, it's your comeback story. Right? Okay. And it can be a comeback story. All right. So that's it for tonight, guys. That's all we have. Have anything to add? All right, Melissa, you want to take us out?
Yes. But I have to ask, who did your homework from last week? So again, y'all are just here just to have something to fill in for Monday night if you don't take away the training and apply it, especially these 4 weeks, because we asked in both of our groups, who needs something to push them? And we had so many of you say, me. So we are doing this training. It's an intense training. We're spending a lot of time getting for it. So when we give you the assignments, last week it was enroll 1 new subscribe and save partner. So that was, there's 6 of them. So see what your score was out of 6. The second one was post 5 out of 7 days in your stories, get reels, do reels, testimonials, whatever. The next one was send 10 connection messages. The next one was invite 5 people to the business, to the September shift group, because y'all had 5 passes. Did y'all do that? Okay. And then you were supposed to journal and talk about your reflection, like what do I want my life to look like 6 to 12 months from now or 5 years from now? What would it mean for my family? Who could I help if I stepped into leadership? Who's watching me that I might not even realize? Those are supposed to go into your journal, and then making sure you peeled back that onion on your why, so you know exactly why you are doing that. So those were your homework tasks for last week. So now you've got your call to action for this week. I'm going to challenge you. Do the things. Don't just listen to what we're saying. Actually do the things, because you all want to grow, right? You all want to get ready. And I mean, unless you're happy where you are, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you ain't happy with where you ended last month or the month before, and you want to do better and change things, then you got to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So you've got to do something different if you want different results. So there's not one person on here that can't. You all can do hard things. It may seem like it's an impossible task. It may seem like you're banging your head against a wall and that you're continuing to actually do the things, but you're not seeing the results. All I can say is just like the girl that Jan was talking about, it took her 4 years to get to the front of the pack. You know what? I saw this meme today. So many people spend 40 years bringing home a paycheck just to stay where they're at and survive, but they can't spend 5 years putting everything they have into something that will completely change their entire life for them, their children, their grandchildren. It's legacy. So don't fall into the trap of being okay with where you're at. Want something more, dream of something bigger, and then get off your duff and go do it every day. That's what it takes. So I am so excited. Thank you, Jan and Greg. That was so good. And I can't wait till next week. Next week's about multiplying, I do believe. So and I knew like what last week was. I did it. I did the training. My brain just completely froze. So sorry about that. So I'm going to declare Ephesians 3:20 over all of you. God is going to do exceedingly and abundantly more than we could think or ask, because we honor him. His blessings are going to chase us down and overtake us. You are in the right place at the right time, and I declare a boldness to rise up in each one of you. God's going to open supernatural doors. People are going to seek us out, and we are going to rise in the ranks because we give him the honor and glory for it. I love y'all. Have a great one. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Invite somebody.